Today seems like we're gonna be talking about this free TV by a company called Telly, which was founded by Ilya Posin, which is the co-founder of Pluto TV, which we know it was a free streaming service before it was, I think, sold to Paramount, obviously, like always. And there is quite a few things that I would like to put your attention towards in this free TV. Now this TV, so far we don't have a lot of information about it, especially when it comes to technical specs. Yes, it says 55-inch 4K HDR theater display. What does theater display even mean? That's not even a real technical term because most of the TVs are theater display technically. So is it LEDs, micro LED, QLED, mini LED, local dimming, full array, local dimming? Is any of that on that TV? So far in what we have seen, none of that is part of that TV, which puts that TV on the range of $300 to $380 at Walmart, because right now you can find at Walmart made from TLC, Vizio, and whatnot, even ONN, make some 55-inch 4K HDR TVs, which is less than the $500 of what they ask if you opt out from the ads, which in my opinion, that's a little bit quite far when you're talking about giving a free TV to someone. And according to one of their representatives or speakers, I would say, Lawrence, I think was his name, claimed that the TV is worth $1,000. What kind of TV is it? Because before you get out with that kind of claim, I think you should clarify who made the panel, what kind of panel, what is the company, because obviously Telly is not going to make their own panels, Telly's not going to make their own logic boards, Telly's not going to make their own programming on it. What kind of operating system is it going to have inside? We all need to know that. Is it going to be based on Android, Apple? Is it going to be based on the Roku? What is it? So far we have no idea what's on this TV, even though you have to sign up to get a free one, which I have nothing against that. Just to make it clear before we go even deeper on this talk, I have nothing against them doing this because they've done it with Pluto. It was an okay service. I probably watched a few movies and stuff on Pluto when they still had it and made more sense, and I was pleased with it. That is okay. And on the other hand, a free TV is not a bad deal, especially for families that might be struggling and otherwise would not be able to buy a device like that, even though 55-inch is kind of an entry level. And not to brag, but personally in my house, I don't have any 55-inch TV. They're quite larger due to price drops that they can be found quite cheaper than that. But now that family that gets this TV for free, how do you think they're going to be able to afford to buy or click on any ads that you're showing to them? Because as far as I know, the purpose of these ads is to sell stuff, otherwise makes them ads pointless. And yes, if you were putting it for a fair price and put some kind of things around that TV that competes against other companies or makers, it would make a lot more sense, because now you are enticing a whole different group of people grabbing a free TV. But if most people are getting this TV because it's free, that means that most likely 95% of those ads will be shown to a blind audience. And by blind, I don't mean it in physically blind. I mean it to an audience that will never click through them or never convert into money through those ads. Now, this is a great idea. Again, I'm not against the idea. I love great ideas. Even if they fail, I'm still pro expressing ideas and bringing new ideas to the market, because that's what helps the market become competitive. Now, there's another problem with this free TV that I would say before we get to the good things. I have good things, believe it or not, to say about this TV. But before we get to the good things, there's a legal perspective. I am not a legal analyst or a legal expert at all. So I'm just gonna put that up front. Just based on my own observation. In YouTube, for example, due to the advertisement policies and laws, we have to sign after we upload, when we are uploading a video, we have to click an option that says this was not made for kids. And that means under the age of 13, which even advertisers, I think there's only a select few that are even allowed or approved to show to the audience of 13 and under. Now, how does Telly decide if a child is watching that ad or not? So what kind of ad is going to be shown? For example, let's say my 12-year-old son is watching something there and I'm not at home, even though I might be the one who signed up to get the free TV. So who's to say that my son is not going to see some inappropriate ad? And yes, before you say that, oh, but ads are curated and all that, that's not always true. We all watch YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all these media, and a lot of times you have inappropriate ads even for my age, which I'm quite older than a 12-year-old. And sometimes there are ads that I probably would get blush in my face. I would get red in my face if that ad was shown in front of me, having even my parents around me. Because, you know, respect for the elderly. It's the point that I'm getting here is how do they mitigate that part, that those ads are being shown to a broad audience without selections of age or age group. I understand that, yes, that falls into the parent's lap, as all the internet does. For example, when you buy your child a cell phone or a computer. Yeah, on those, there's actual ways to block malicious content or adult content on the routers. Most of the routers today are equipped in their software that you can actually block up to 98% of adult content, and sometimes includes ads. On the phones, yes, on the phones there are parental controls as well, that you can actually block that kind of content that might be harmful to your child. And no, I'm not talking about explicit stuff, but sometimes ads can be manipulative in the mind. And by that I mean that they are giving the wrong idea to the child because the company has not projected that ad to be shown to children. That ad was projected to be shown to adults like me and you, which is okay with us because we know how to select those things through the bad and good, but a child, he or she has not developed that part of their brain yet, so it's too early for them to know how to be decisive. Besides that, it has a camera. Now, they claim that camera is for calls only, and I'm fine with that. Okay, there's a lot of TVs equipped with web cameras on top of them for Zoom calls and games and all that good stuff. But now, let's say you close that camera. They say there is a sensor. What is to say that that sensor is not accompanied by a camera? Who says that sensor is not meant to be working in tandem with the camera? And now we get into some serious privacy issues when it comes to the camera and the microphones being on the entire time, despite you covering it or not. And they say that if you take measures to block the microphones, the sensors and all that stuff, even in your most private moments, if you have it on a bedroom or a children's bedroom, now you have to pay the company $500. All I'm saying is, how do they mitigate that part? You cannot just make a device or content that's a blanket for everybody, because obviously not everybody is the same, and just because somebody needs to get a free device because they can't afford otherwise to buy one, it doesn't mean that you can take them for a spin and sell their soul without even them knowing they're doing that. Yes, you might get to the part that, well, if you have nothing to hide, why would you be worried about it? Well, it gets back to that commentary or argument that it has been so many times. If you have nothing to hide, why don't you leave your house unlocked and doors open? And your jewelry and money and devices just, on the balcony and tables and, just up for grabs because you have nothing to hide. Privacy is something that is very personal and has to be taken very serious. Now, I'm not sure how Telly is going to get around that part. To give them credit where credit's due, they upfront ask you that, yes, you are about to give us all your data, and we are gonna work that data around up to the point that our advertisers know even what kind of color are your shoelaces. And To that, I give them credit for being upfront with it, because don't forget, all these devices, not to get into conspiracy theories, because it's not a conspiracy anymore that a lot of your devices are listening and watching and motion sensing and all that good stuff for advertising purposes most of the time, without even you knowing. And I've done videos before on how devices actually will do that by default, and you have to go in the apps and supposedly with a soft switch, which, being a technician, I know that a soft switch can be to the point that it means absolutely nothing. Only a physical switch can actually mitigate allowance or disallowance of content or certain actions. Soft switches are not exactly something that I would rely on for any kind of important thing in my life. Soft switches are kind of a peace of mind, but you're relying on the system and the apps in the operating and all that stuff to actually do the right thing and to take your command seriously. If the app does not want to take your command seriously, they can simply bypass that soft switch, because in reality, a software-based switch means zero. So now, Telly has zero hardware switches except for unplugging it from the wall. In that scenario, for example, because Telly says that the ads will be shown almost 24/7. And yes, the second screen will be dedicated to ads, and when the TV is not in use, the upper screen will be showing ads as well. For example, in my life, or in my house, when I'm watching TV, yes, okay, I watch whatever allocated time that I give to the TV, and when I'm done, I use the Wyze plugs that I've shown you before on the video I think I made quite a few months ago. There's some Wyze plugs that are, you can turn them on and off. Yeah, no, I did not exactly connect them to my phone, but when I want to watch TV, I just click that button and turns on the TV, the Android box, and all that good stuff, and I watch. And yes, I don't use wireless throughout the home at all. It's just a personal choice, because I like the quality of internet speeds and all that when it comes via cable. So how does Telly know that I'm, for example, not watching that TV because I'm turning it off? Do I have to pay them $500 if I'm going to vacation, or I'm just maybe not watching on that room that I got this TV to dedicate to? Maybe for a long period of time, maybe for 4 months I don't watch that TV. It is there. I haven't tampered with it. I haven't touched anything in the technical realm of that TV. I simply unplugged it or turned it off. Hardware turn off, not the software, because there's no such thing as software turn off. That's just something there's no chance of anybody making me believe that part. Anything that has a closed circuit can be turned on and off with or without you knowing about it, and that part is just part of probably being a technician, that you learn throughout life that, yeah, some things are promised to be safe and reliable, but they're not. And when you discover that, you kind of go the sour way and use everything hardwired. So how does Telly mitigate that part? How do they know, for example, that instead of me tampering with it, I simply unplugged it from the wall? Because they say if you tamper with it and all that stuff, we will know. Yes, they will know if you are connected to the internet, for example. But let's say somebody goes in the TV, and this portion of the speech I am not advocating for at all. I'm giving it as a hypothetical. Let's say somebody goes inside that TV, and we all know it's not a rocket science to desolder a wireless modem inside a device, to just disconnect it from any possibility of being connected to the network. You get now, in that case, the TV turns on. It works perfectly fine, but now it cannot display ads anymore. And you say, but well, you just rendered that TV worthless. Absolutely not. That's completely wrong. Just jump to Walmart, go buy a small, I don't know, Android box for $25, or you can go online and buy a Roku or an Nvidia Shield. You connect the internet now to the box. You have YouTube, you have your Netflix and all those apps from the box through an HDMI to the TV. So now you're basically using the TV to broadcast content to you, but technically the TV is not off. It's on. How do they know now the difference between this TV that I just explained being tampered with a ability to be connected to the internet, which in their side would show offline, versus the other TV or this TV, I guess, but the other scenario that I just explained, that if I unplug it for a long period of time, I still haven't seen, I'm still researching to see if they have taken measures of that, because you cannot just broadly say that, yeah, if you tamper with it, you will pay us $500. Well, what if the people who bought it gave you a credit card or debit card to buy it, but there is nothing else left on the card? Are you gonna spend thousands of dollars to travel to their house in the middle of nowhere to take the TV back now that the card got declined? I'm just brainstorming of possible scenarios of how is Telly going to get around all these hoops that I'm putting on this broadcast to mitigate and to be fair to the people that they're offering for free. I know you might say that, well, but it's free, don't expect too much. No. I'm not asking for it to be free. Telly is offering it for technically free when it counts to cash, but it's not free. They're exchanging it for your information. So that is not free. It is the same concept that, yes, you're watching my YouTube videos for free, but in return, you're watching ads on them. So I make money, YouTube makes money, but you didn't have to pull a wallet out. But on Telly's case, this goes even further. Because on YouTube, you just turn it off and watch something else, but the same device that you still had before. On Telly, you cannot do that. On Telly, if you're watching on the TV that they provided to you for supposedly free, you must watch the ads too, because that's the entire purpose of the TV. That's why I say there's no such thing as a free lunch. You are giving them your data. Now, by this point, they know your name, they know your last name, they know your address, they know your bank account, and now they're asking to give them even more information of buttons you click, shows you watch, searches, times you watch the TV, times that you turn off the TV, times you sleep, times you wake up, times you move around the TV with a motion sensor, times you might want to take a private conversation somewhere, but there is a lot of microphones installed on it that they say they might be used as the audio files, for advertising purposes. But who's to say it's limited to that? As we've seen so many times, even in very big companies having data breaches, and a lot of credit cards and personal information, social security numbers, addresses, and whatnot have been sold not necessarily to the dark web, because everybody thinks, oh, it goes straight to the dark web. Absolutely not. It goes just to the regular web data brokers that will either target you for ads, or in worse scenarios, dishonest data brokers will sell your information to so-called scammers. Some of them are in here in US, some of them are abroad. And how do you think they get that information? It's not that they're tampering in your phone the whole time. It's data breaches that does that most of the time. How does Telly not do that? Because if Telly installs, for example, a closed style or a sandboxed TV, that means they would have a VPN and all that stuff that the data doesn't breach. But if they have a VPN, most of the companies will not be able to play ads on it. So there is so many questions around Telly. And no, personally, I have not clicked on it because I would like to see one in person, but I would not like to own one in person. I take my online security extremely serious. So Telly is something that I would not touch with my own hands because it's not for me. What I would like to do with it is just to see it in person. What would happen? I would prepare $500 on the side if I tampered with it in a way that Telly cannot tell if I unplugged it or I tampered with it. Now that's a big question that it really burns me. How would Telly react to this one? Regardless, I'd rather pay $500 and buy a better TV than a just regular 4K HDR. You can find 55-inch TVs nowadays, actually. Sometimes QLED, mini LED, full array, local dimming, and all that. So this TV is not that expensive. So the whole $500, that doesn't fly with me. Now, for the kind of good part of it, I would say, or me playing devil's advocate, why this would be okay in some scenarios. First of all, in a scenario this would be okay, I guess, is if you have a covered patio that you are not really sleeping there or having your most important conversations in that patio, and that patio, yeah, is kind of covered so rain doesn't go on it, and Yeah, it's okay, let the TV play ads to the trees and listen to the birds, and sometimes it would hear you probably having a barbecue or something in the patio. That is fine. That is an okay scenario. You got a free TV, they play their ads, you get your content consumed through it, and all is good. Second scenario would be probably on a living room that you don't really stay a lot, and your living room is not exactly attached to the kitchen. You might stay more, and this TV is used there mostly, in certain times, maybe not more than 4 or 5 times a year, and that scenario is still okay. Let them play ads if you don't consider the electricity that it's using. Yes, you might say it's LED and all that new stuff, but it's still running on your electricity. They are not paying for the electric bill. And if you pay your own electric bills, you understand very well how quickly those numbers will creep up. Even with the smallest tiny LEDs and Energy Star and all that stuff in your house, those bills still cannot get under $250. And unfortunately, we have to be mindful of that. But I'm still on the good track for Telly to kind of see what scenarios this would be okay. Or for example, in this studio that I'm at right now, where I do repairs, and 99% of the times I'm just by myself and really not doing anything interesting, that I would regard my privacy as priority when it comes to a few microphones and sensors and all that in that TV. If I close the camera, obviously, not because I'm doing anything nefarious, just because I respect myself and I don't like myself to be part of a toy playground. So now, in that scenario, I would have that TV on the background, probably playing some YouTube videos, someone else's podcast or something while I'm working, because I'm not really talking to feed to the microphones and have ads played related to capacitors and soldering wire and whatnot. That is the kind of scenario I would see this TV being used for. Now, the other scenario I would say this TV is still okay, as I said in the very beginning of this video, would be who cannot afford a 55-inch TV. They can get this one and give it a shot, but be mindful what the exchange will be for this TV. It is your privacy, not that other devices are not creeping into your privacy, but this one goes a few steps further. If that is okay with you, if your privacy is not a concern, well, by all means, more power to you. Go ahead, place your slot, I guess, on their website and see if they're gonna give you one, because as far as I know, they're giving around 500,000, if I'm not wrong, and they're doing a test run to see if it really works. The other thing I would say, even though I'm supposed to be on the good things about this TV or good scenarios, one scenario I want you to keep in mind in absolutely every single time that you're thinking about this TV. Do not think to put this TV where your children sleep, play, or study. Do not even attempt to think about that. Put it in your living room, or you, the parents, stay with the kids, fine. Put it in the patio, fine. Put it in the garage, fine. Anywhere else but where your children spend most of their time, I would absolutely say stay away from that. It's just respect their privacy, because they still cannot give consent to what's being shown on these ads, and this is why YouTube takes this part very seriously, not to show children those ads. Now, I'm not sure how truthful this part is, but I've read while I was researching, and especially I saw a piece on Digital Trends. They're talking about that it comes with some kind of stick that's included, a 4K streaming stick that's included. So, does this TV have an operating system of its own, or is this TV just a shell? But this TV cannot be a shell if it can play ads without the stick. If this TV requires that stick to play ads and to have an operating system, then it doesn't make sense, because a lot of people might take that stick out, and it's not necessarily tampering with a TV, because they cannot claim we gave you a free TV. You already gave them your data. So don't sleep on that pillow that says, well, I got it for free. No. You gave them your data. And that's way more valuable than a $300 to $400 piece of plastic that they gave you. Keep that in mind the whole time. You are not getting this TV for free. They're getting your data in return. And data has a lot of value these days. We're talking about up to billions of dollars in advertising industry. And now, if not trillions, when it comes to this whole scenario with a stick that it comes with, I still don't understand why does it need it. And they are not being open with this one. I'm not sure if they even have a real plan of how they're going to execute this one, or is it going to be one of those startups that everybody signed up for? They got enough information about people, so now they turn around and, well, the plan didn't work very well, so we're gonna shut it down. But where does that data go? How do I know that my name, last name, card, address, and all that is not being aggregated by some data company and try to sell me stuff now on ads that I never asked for? Not that I'm not being sold ads right now, but why add more without disclosing it? And yes, I'm sounding paranoid, but I'm not paranoid. I'm just very practical and very serious with my data and with my privacy, and so I do with other devices that I might work with, even if they're not mine. When I recover drives, I recover laptops and all that, I have zero interest to know what's in them. Because a lot of people would tell me, well, I had this picture and I have this. No. I do not recover data or backup data that way. I use either Stellar or other software that will extract the entire drive, put it on a zip file, and throw it on the side. I put it on a USB stick, give it to the person or client, and that is it. That's my entire interaction with the data. And if they ask me, well, but you should have seen, no. I should have seen nothing. I'm not interested. Your problems are your problems, and I don't want to be part of them. And I don't want to be part of your private stuff, even though you may not think it's private. To me, it is private. If it doesn't have my name on it, it's not mine. I have nothing to do with it. That's how I see data privacy. And that's how I see from other companies' eyes too. I wish they could see data like that. Yes, okay, you got my email that I use online, and that's enough. Try to sell me whatever you can. That's fine. It's economy, it's money, it's understandable. I understand business, but sometimes too far is way too far. And you don't just play with people's data, because if there's a data breach, now you're risking to ruin their entire livelihood. Their credit card falls on a bad actor's hands. Their social security falls in bad actor's hands. Well, their address falls into some creepy person's hands. Now here goes not just their livelihood, but even their life is at question. And do you see where I'm going with this one? That's why data is very important to be kept and safeguarded, not just handed out to somebody that is claiming to do something, but they're not giving us enough details. Do we know what this TV has inside? What company made it? What operating system it has? How does it operate? We don't have any of that information, but yet they're telling people that we'll give you a free TV, maybe. We don't know what kind of TV, but we might give you a free TV. Just sign up here, give us more data. And download this app too, just in case we don't have enough for you, so we can crawl on your mobile device as well. I'm not saying they're doing it, but I don't have proof they're not doing it either. And as you see, these things, if they are not detailed and given to the people in a straightforward way, it can get out of hand. Because guys like me are not an isolated case. There's a lot of technicians that are asking these exact questions. What is behind the promise? Is you're promising me something blindfolded, but just, okay, while you're blindfolded, you'll get one of these boxes while I collect your fingerprints on the boxes first. But you don't know what these boxes are. You just know these are boxes, and that's all you need to know. No, that's not how it works in real life, because people are not exactly toys that you can take to the playground and have fun with. You have to respect their privacy. And yes, I know I have questions, but these are not exactly confirmed claims of them using a Tally OS, supposedly their own native operating system, which is based on Android open source project, which I'm not sure how open source it's gonna be, because they are not exactly being open with the details. It might have a Google Play, it may not have a Google Play. What if it has a Google Play, but can you sideload apps? Can you install ad blockers? What happens if you install ad blockers? Do you get the penalty $500? And so on and so on. That's the problem. And the whole microphone and those array things with a thing that you can say, hey, Telly, and it just wakes up. That's not true. That device that you can just say, hey, whatever device that is, that means that device was never sleeping in the first place. That device was active, and it's actively listening for the tag word supposedly, but that's not true. If you're a technician, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like all these, I'm not gonna say their names, but these tiny boxes and jug-looking things, the cylinders, they're not exactly sleeping, actually ever, unless you unplug it and drain the battery. Because if you're able to say, hey, X name, do this for me, that means that was not sleeping. That was very awake and very much listening to everything you were saying up to that word. The only difference is that when you said that keyword, that thing responded. That is the only difference. It's not that you're awakening it, you are just triggering that device to respond to you audibly. That's all. And this TV has that. And that's concerning to me. If you're somebody who respects privacy and takes privacy seriously, that is concerning. It's very concerning. I know that's the reason I'm not even signing up for it. But I'm not trying to bash the company. I really hope this works, and I hope it helps people and helps them make a lot of money, and I'm not against all the business venues and business ideas that people have, as long as they respect everyone individually and their own individual privacies, because we are not all just to be thrown as a blanket strategy, because all have different scenarios. And as I mentioned with children and this and that, those are not the same scenarios. And with that said, you decide what you want to do. But this TV is not great news if privacy is your priority in life. If not, well, go ahead, more power to you, get a free TV, or at least get on the list to get it, maybe a free TV. Until I see them myself and hear real stories myself, I cannot comment anything else but my critical thinking towards it. Just things that, how are they gonna patch these problems? And always, in the tech world, if nobody complains about a problem, it will never be patched. And only the bad guys will benefit from that unpatched problem. And this is the reason for this entire broadcast. I'm talking about the unpatched problems. And with that said, you are at the end of this broadcast, or how they call them now, podcast. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, please let me know in the comments below. Will you be getting a free, in air quotes, TV, or do you think there is something more to it? Or why do you disagree with me? All that, leave it below. Leave me a like and subscribe and share it with somebody that you might think might need to hear this. Otherwise, I got nothing else to tell you but have a beautiful time. Bye!